The Nords of Skyrim have had many vocal and might I say barbaric representatives that led them to their current position amongst the people of Tamriel. Skyrim has always been isolated from a large majority of non-humanoid citizens, and this is mainly credited towards the historical figures that shaped the Nordic population throughout their entire timeline. Ysgramor and his 500 companions diverged from their prior land of Atmora in the Merethic era due to a raging civil war, which led them to sail towards the unknown provinces of Tamriel, where they came upon the frigid and chilling terrain of Skyrim, or what they would know as Merith. All of Skyrim's current and former kings derived from his gene pool. He was pivotal in the ascendancy of men on Tamriel, a truly legendary figure that impacted the human race positively. It is said that he was perceived as a peaceful settler, that he bothered none of the original settlers and not even Myr. Although these stories were nearly always told by the victors, what we do know is that conflict arose regardless. A clash between settlers from Atmora and the indigenous snow elves of Skyrim stood as the signifying igniter of this conflict. This event would be known as the Night of Tears, the main motivator of the barbarous and combative behavior former Atmorans and present Nords would come to fully adopt. Hey there, this is Xith, and as far as the odd Imperial scholar and casual viewer is concerned, this event might seem potentially one-sided, and will soon delve into the purpose of its supposed simplicity. Ysgramor and his sons arrived in Skyrim during the Merethic era, establishing themselves as fairly peaceful settlers, and would later form an Atmoran community which was the leading reason for the creation of Sarthal, the first human city in the province of Merith. Sarthal was as prosperous as a settlement could get. It was built as an underground shelter, but soon broke the bounds of primitivism and evolved into a marvelous network of living quarters which were utilized for the sole purpose of housing the new Tamrielic kingdom of men. It is a recurring theme to idolize Sarthal as the first human settlement on Tamriel, but apparently it housed something even more influential than the evolution of men. I'm not sure as to what Sarthal was before Ysgramor settled there, but an unknown artifact dwelled within the unscathed structure of Sarthal, and this artifact was the Eye of Magnus, a piece of Adric history which was either brought from Atmora or has been discovered in Sarthal. The Eye of Magnus could have potentially aided them in their rapid expansion in Skyrim, seeing as how Atmoran mages nearly always utilized artifacts as a source of magical power, and I'll elaborate upon if the discovery of the Eye of Magnus was somehow the driving reason that led up to the Night of Tears. But for now, let's hear a fellow Elder Scrolls YouTuber and friend of mine expand upon the motive that led the Falmer to sack Sarthal.
The indigenous snow elves, or Falmer of Skyrim, were the first to inhabit its harsh terrain. They unfolded the possibility of living under such rigid conditions that their own biology matured as an attempt to conform to Skyrim's unforgiving weather. They've largely ruled over Skyrim as a result of their immigration from lands far warmer, and have coexisted with the Dwemer for as long as canon lore can remember. The Falmer have come to adore their homeland of Skyrim as much as the present Nords of Skyrim do. And at first, Ysgramor's presence seemed timid. They viewed his arrival as harmless, but as years would quickly progress, Ysgramor and his sons hastily expanded their numbers, and efficiently created their first proper settlement, Sarthal. The realization of how prosperous Sarthal was instilled a sense of endangerment into the Falmer. What they viewed as timid populating soon turned into a real threat regarding the cultural existence of elves. They feared the possibility of humans exceeding the race of Myr by wildly populating provinces which belonged to them. The Falmer saw the growth of the Atmorans as a form of invasion. They were never fully content with their presence in Skyrim, but felt as if these invaders wouldn't be too much of a problem, or so they thought. To put it lightly, the Atmorans were inherently powerful in mostly every aspect of physical strength and endurance. Even though they lived fairly shorter lives in comparison to their elven counterparts, they were known for their unstoppable stance in combat. Ysgramor and his sons were like juggernauts in battle, overwhelming their opposition by sheer vigor, rarely ever stopping themselves from wiping the floor with the fear of their enemies. Admoran mages, on the other hand, were even more capable. Their power was drawn from artifacts like the Eye of Magnus, and their utilization of unnatural resources was likely used to empower Admoran warriors in battle. The main combative disadvantage that plagues present and modern Nordic culture is the disregard for the clever craft, or what we would know as magicka. The clever craft is what Admoran societies praised and taught. The continuous appreciation of ancient Admoran magic is exactly what allowed them to appropriately resist the magical finesse of elven mages. Why am I telling you all of this though? Well, their inherent abilities are exactly what urged the Falmer to act violently. Peace soon turned into territorial bloodshed. The Elves of Skyrim felt encapsulated and envisioned genocidal plans against Ysgramor and his initial followers occupying Sarthal. The Night of Tears started with the marching of a silent but highly fatal force of invading snow elves. Their battle mages were ready for incineration, and their troops had subjectively enthralling motives, which enabled them to act mercilessly towards the unaware Admorans. The invading Falmer prepared for every possible scenario. Their intel was extraordinarily accurate, and the defending Admoran forces were a mere disturbance. Ysgramor and his sons escaped the confines of what would have been their tomb, and hastily returned to their former continent of Admora, vowing to avenge their brutally slaughtered kin. The Falmer torched Sarthal entirely, and chose to leave this cruel piece of history behind them. Except for the Eye of Magnus, and even I'm not sure if the Falmer discovered it after the Night of Tears.
Thank you for that elaboration, Koo. Now, let's move on. So, after reviewing this event, one would believe that it was brought forth in response to the accelerated development of Admoran culture, right? Well, there is another version which closely ties in with what I just said, and this theory was made known by Imperial scholars, who are known for their rampant speculation. But reviewing this version would offer the viewer a more productive outlook, so here we go. The other theory supports the idea that the Falmer learned of the Eye of Magnus soon after the erection of Sarthal, which prompted them to attempt a siege on Sarthal in the vain hope of seizing the Eye for themselves, and this is also supported by the fact that the intel the Falmer had was so extensive that it gave them an insight into the entire architectural layout of Sarthal. But this theory soon falls off due to the lack of information we're presented with after Ysgramor and his sons flee back to Admora. Nothing is known about who occupied Sarthal after the invasion, or even if the Falmer found/exploited the Eye for their own gain. The Eye of Magnus itself influenced the growth of Admoran society throughout Skyrim, but this is credited towards their ability to safely harness its power, something we're not sure if the Falmer even possessed. In reaction to what the Falmer did to them in Sarthal, Ysgramor and his sons returned to Skyrim, with a bloody hunger for revenge and about 500 combat-hardened Admorans. Ysgramor soon retook Sarthal with ease and set forth an age of blood-stained expansionism. The Night of Tears was an event that awoke the harsh brutality of what would be known as ancient Nordic culture. The widespread awakening of Nordic culture was built on the foundation of death. Both parties involved wished to dominate over Skyrim indefinitely. The only difference is that the Falmer were on the other end of the coin. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've teamed up with Koo in this collaborative video of ours to show you the magnificence of his voice, and mainly due to the sentiment of how fellow YouTubers should stick together and help each other out. That's one important thing to note. I highly suggest that you should check out his videos. They offer a great amount of informative research and even better narrations. The link to his channel is in the description. For now, have a good one.